Hey guys, Mike here. So today, I'm here to talk to you about 1973's The Exorcist, starring Ellen Burstyn as Chris MacNeil. In The Exorcist, a 12-year-old girl becomes possessed by an unknown entity, so her mother seeks the help of two priests to try and save her daughter. And so we have The Exorcist. So guys, today's movie was requested by no one. This was just one that I wanted to watch because I hadn't seen it before, and as it is October, it's the season for scary movies. So I figured, what better movie to watch then? One of the scariest movies ever made. And so, let's talk about The Exorcist. Well, I gotta say that to the movie's credit, it pretty much does most everything right. It's really well cast, the acting's really good, it's really well directed, the effects still hold up today, and I can see why so many people were scared of this movie when it first came out, and why so many more people are probably still scared of this movie today. I can definitely see why so many people say that this is the scariest movie ever made. It's just for me, I didn't really think this was that scary. And I would probably mainly say because I've already seen a lot of the scenes in this movie before in like random YouTube videos or something like that. And as well, I would just say that this movie was just more creepy than scary. I would say that it does go to some places that you wouldn't expect it to go, and you do kind of worry whether the girl will survive or not, but I wouldn't say that it put me on the edge of my seat, kind of like, oh my god, what could happen next? But for the creep factor, it definitely still hits that. Like the scene when the girl's coming backwards down the stairs with blood out of her mouth. Yeah, that shit is still creepy. The makeup and the prosthetics still look amazing. But honestly, I'd say the things that kind of bogged the movie down just a little bit would be the pacing and the editing sometimes. Now, I'm not saying that either one are bad. It's just that with the pacing, this film is obviously a slow burner and it's not trying to be anything else. But at the same time, it makes it feel like for the longest time, hardly anything happens, and that most of the events take place towards the end of the movie, and that the rest of the movie is very, very slowly building up to that. But I would say the editing was a problem at some times, mainly because of the fact of that just when the film was getting interesting, when they were actually dealing with the possession and the kid doing something crazy because she's possessed, they would immediately cut away from it. So just when the movie's actually getting a bit scary, just when it's getting a bit more interesting, and when we might actually see a bit more of the demon inside her, it just cuts away for something else. And at times it just made me feel a little bit disappointed. But I would say that all these points are a bit nitpicky, because honestly, I don't think there's really anything that this movie does wrong. Because there are obviously some things that this movie excels at, and some things that it does amazingly, and it still holds up to this day. But when it all comes down to it, I just didn't really think this movie was all that at the end of the day. Because I get why so many people love this movie, why they say it's the scariest movie they've ever seen, the greatest horror ever made. It's just for me, going in with all those expectations of it being the scariest movie ever made, or it being the greatest horror ever made, it's just personally, I don't feel like it delivered on any of those things because it just been overhyped so much and it just possibly couldn't live up to that hype. Honestly, I feel like The Exorcist for me kind of had the same problem that Back to the Future had. That everyone had been talking this movie up for so many years, saying how great it was, that when eventually I come to watch it, it just couldn't possibly live up to all those expectations, and it mainly came down to the fact that everyone had been overhyping this movie for so many years. Overall, guys, you cannot question how much of a classic that The Exorcist is. It is pretty much unremakeable because of just the impact that this movie has had on cinema. It's brilliantly acted, the effects still hold up today, but it's just for me personally, I just found that I just really didn't enjoy this movie all that much. But it's not that I would say that if you like this movie, you are wrong, because everyone's got their own opinions, and I can see why so many people love this movie. It's just for me, I didn't really think it was all that at the end of the day. That's just pretty much what it came down to. Having said that as well though, I did really like the ending. The ending was still really good, even though I'd already seen it before. When it's actually happening, it is superb. But do I think you guys should watch this one? Again, I would give this the same recommendation as I would Back to the Future. I would say watch it because it's a classic. I would say watch it just to see what all the fuss is about. But as for a personal recommendation, I would say no, I personally wouldn't recommend watching this movie. But again, just because I didn't enjoy it doesn't mean you won't enjoy it, because you more than likely will end up siding with pretty much everyone else in the world. Okay guys, that's my review of The Exorcist. Do you love it? Do you hate it? What do you think I should watch next? Whatever it is, drop it in the comments below. Until next time, I've been Michael. See ya!